Assalamu alaikum everyone, how are you? I hope you are all doing well and safe. Okay, so this is the presentation for my lesson 1. So I hope it will be useful and helpful. Okay, so in this lesson we are going to cover the structures of xylem and phloem. So I think this slide we have already discussed in the school, isn't it? So here I just wanted to talk about the source and sink. So what is source? So the source is where the sugar starts its journey, means when the sugar is actually produced or stored. And the sink is where the sugar will end up and where the sugar will be used. So, or where it is needed. So for example here in okay, let's say here in let's say you have a plant. This is your plant and this are the leaves. So let's say in summer, this is the root. So in summer the leaves are photosynthesizing. So photosynthesis, so the plants will produce what? Will produce glucose, and that glucose will be converted into starch. Then starch will be converted later on into sucrose, and sucrose will be actually stored. Where is it stored? It can be stored, for example, in it can be stored in many places like rhizome, like bulbs, like combs, and like example here tuber. You have the example of potato. Potato is a tuber, potato. So when the food is produced, it will be stored in the potatoes here, or like tuber. So the source here will be the leaf, and the sink will be the potato or the tuber. But in winter, when you have no leaves, means you have no photosynthesis. So what will happen is the food will, or the sugar will be moved from the tuber to different to other different parts of the plant. So in this case here, the tuber will become the source, and the other parts of the leaf, like buds, like other different parts, they will become the sink, where the glucose or the food will be used. So this is actually the difference between source and sink. So okay, so here you have the function of vascular bundles. So xylem will transport water and minerals. So this one we have already discussed, right? So they have the xylem. It transports the water and minerals from the root to the other parts of the plant. So xylem transport water and minerals up the stem from the root to the shoots and leaves. This transport occur in one direction. It's actually unidirectional, so it's only in one direction, from the root to the other parts of the leaf of the plant. But the phloem actually will transport sugar produced in the leaves up and down the stem, so to growing and storage tissues. And here, so this is the phloem, and you can see the transport in two directions. So both phloem and xylem form what we call continuous system connecting root, stem, and leaves. Okay, so you have here actually a better picture, so where you can see the xylem. So this one is transporting water and salt, water and minerals, and is only one-way direction, and you have no end walls between the cells. So we said the cells here, the cell wall has actually disappeared between the cells, and the side walls actually are thickened and stiffened with lignin. But the phloem vessel, you have actually alive cells, and you still have here actually the cell wall on the adjacent cells, which is perforated, or we call it the plates, sieve plate. So here the cell have end wall with perforation, so you can here see some holes where to allow the material to pass. Okay, and you can see here what pass here actually is water and all the nutrients, like sugars, for example, sugar, and some hormones as well. Sorry. So, and it's in two direction. The transport in is two direction. So the function of vascular bundles First function is actually transportation of water and nutrients. Second function is to resist the pulling forces of the wind. So we have, like, for example, here, when the wind blows, it actually exerts some forces on the stem. So the vascular bundles allow the plants to resist these forces of the wind. And the last one is the network of veins in many leaves will support the soft mesophyll tissue and resist the stress that could be lead to tearing. Okay, so here, even in the leaves, you have the network of vessels, which actually will help to support the mesophyll tissue. So you have here a summary of the differences between phloem and xylem. So xylem transport water, phloem transport sugars and other nutrients, and xylem transport water and minerals. So we have minerals. So we have here two directional transport. Here is one direction. This one are living cells, this one are dead cells and hollow, and this one they contain the sieve plates. So here there is no sieve plates between the adjacent cells. And you have here what we call the cortex and pith. So here the tissue between the vascular bundles. So here the tissue between the vascular bundles is called cortex. So this is our cells, alive cells. So the tissue between the vascular bundles and the epidermis is called the cortex. So the cells of the cortex store starch. So the cells here also store starch. In green stems, some stems are green. They actually have the outer cortex cells. They contain chloroplast, and they also make food by photosynthesis. Okay, so here you have the outer layer of the cortex can be green, means they are actually photosynthesizing. Right. So the central tissue of the stem is called pith. So here the central tissue is called pith. And the cells of the pith and cortex act as packing tissue and help to support the stem. And you can see here this is the phloem and the xylem. So the inside one is the xylem, the outer one is the phloem. This is actually the section from a stem. So actually this xylem phloem are making what we call a vascular bundle. So you can see there are many vascular bundles which are organized as a ring around the cortex. So as a ring. This is actually a dicotyledon. Monocotyledon, you will see that the vascular bundles are scattered all around the cortex. They are not organized as a ring. But if they are organized as a ring, in a ring, so this one is actually dicotyledon. So this one will be dicotyledon, dicot. Monocotyledon, you are going to see the vascular bundles scattered around the cortex. They are not organized in a ring like this one. So this one will be monocot. So here you have another picture to show you the cells of the phloem, of the xylem. So here you are more in a root. So here, because you can see the xylem is at the center, and around it you have the phloem. So this is the root, and you have here the epidermis, and you have the cortex. So here cortex actually is a parenchyma cells. Okay, so this is all for lesson 1, and see you again in the lesson 2.